Hey guys, so in yesterday's video we talked a little bit about the differentials between the good and the bad when it comes to the fighting game community, specifically with Soul Caliburs in regards to the others. I went over some of the bad stuff with the others there, but I wanted to go over some of the bad things with Soul Calibur's community here. Like I covered a lot of the good stuff yesterday, so if you want to look at the good stuff before you look at the negativity, that's yesterday's direct video. If you go to the end card of this video, it should be the first one that says most recent video, or you can just go to my channel and check it out. But with that being said, let's just get started with today, which is going to be highly negative, so put on your big boy pants because hopefully we don't get too many people that are butthurt. I'm just saying this is a generality. I'm not specifically picking on anyone individually, and if this reflects on you or this is the way that you are, then just maybe see it for what it is and try to learn and grow, or not. Who cares? It's a free world. You can do whatever you want. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is naivete. Now, I don't know if a lot of my younger viewers, or because most of my viewers are between 18 and 34, like that mark, but specifically I think 25 to 36 range or whatever. But so most of you are going to be pretty aware of what naivete is. It's something a lot of older people usually place upon younger generations, just based on their lack of experience and lack of years being alive, pretty much. It's not really something that they can help. We all learn as we grow. But I've been dealing with this since my channel started over 4 years ago. People have expectations, and then when reality sets in, they choose to automatically deny that that's what the reality is, or they'll blame me for giving them the news in the first place. I don't want to use specific examples, but I have people that will literally comment on almost every video about guest characters that they want to see that will never ever happen. And even though I explain in multiple videos how Soul Calibur and Project Soul and Bandai Namco approve and select their guest characters, they don't take any of that to heart, and they constantly just reiterate the same things and same desires over and over again. This not only happens in my comment section, it happens on Twitter. My Discord's a little bit better because they tend to know me a little bit more on my Discord because I talk to them directly, so most of those people know where I stand. It's hard to have a back and forth in the comment section without having context, or basically just being able to see where the other person is coming from. But I mean, everyone has their favorite characters, right? I do too. We'll see I want let's say X-Man from the X-Men, right? Nate Gray. He's my favorite Marvel character. Let's have him in Soul Calibur, right? It's pretty much impossible. It's not going to happen ever. It's not how they choose characters. And I'll see similar ridiculousness coming from certain people, and then as soon as I comment back, they always get mad that I'm going against their wishes or whatever, and that developers need to listen if there's a desire for that. They'll bring up supply and demand all the time. And sometimes they can be pretty ridiculous. We're talking sometimes stuff like cartoon characters and horror movie villains and things of that nature. Stuff that just doesn't even fit Soul Calibur as a franchise as a whole. But I mean, I understand why they want those characters. Just the naivete of them not being able to accept truths when they're presented to them, or evidence when it's given to them, is a little bit frustrating. So that's one thing that I think the Soul Calibur community and specifically can work on. I mean, other communities are probably more guilty of this, including Mortal Kombat, because everybody that wants their own character just constantly hounds the developers for that specific character until they get it or not, and then they threaten to drop the game. So there's that, and then people compare it. This is my second point. People compare Soul Calibur in the community to other games, and it's not in the same situation. It's not in the same boat. As we know, Soul Calibur 6 is a complete reboot of the franchise. It's a new timeline. While there are hints and talks about the past timeline, it's not the same thing. The development team is completely different. There's a different director. There's different everything, right? And a lot of times what I'll see is people saying well, Tekken 7 does this, so Soul Calibur should be able to do this as well because Soul Calibur is part of Bandai Namco. They're not the same thing. The budget that Soul Calibur 6 got is minuscule compared to Tekken 7's. And that's basically on a lot of things marketing and sales and goals and things of that nature. Tekken always outsells Soul Calibur by at least 2 to 3 times. If we have let's say Soul Calibur sells 2 million, then like Tekken will probably sell like 6 to 8 million. You know what I mean? So like it's like apples to oranges kind of situation there. It's a completely different genre. They have more reach, more power. So like they can say like let's have Negan in here, right? Or like let's have Noctis in here. Whereas Soul Calibur's developers don't really have those abilities. They're looking more for cross promotional purposes so that they can actually get their game out to more consumers. Which is totally understandable. But I'm just saying there's underlying, like there's a lot of reasons behind it, but there's just like underlying things that make it impossible. I just don't like to see the comparison constantly. Like people will say that all the time. Well, Street Fighter V is getting its like third season, so Soul Calibur is going to get its too. Or like, well, Mortal Kombat had an extended story, so maybe we get an extended story. That's what the to be continued at the end of season 2 means. It's just like stuff that like I understand where they're coming from, but it's frustrating from a creator standpoint because I hear these constantly, and no matter how many times I say the same thing till I'm blue in the face, the point just doesn't get across that this is its own entity and it's not to be compared to other fighting games. That's like saying like Grand Blue should be compared to I don't know, what's a big fighting game? Like Street Fighter V. Like they're two totally different things, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't compare Dragon Ball Fighters to Guilty Gear, even though they're from the same developer. Like they're two totally different situations. Dragon Ball is probably one of the largest IP in the entire world, you know? That's just the stuff that I'm talking about, like comparisons when they don't deserve to be there or shouldn't be there. That like falls into that same naivete from the first point. Like, I mean, it's just a little frustrating, but I understand where you guys are coming from with that. Let's just try to work on it a little bit better in the future. Yeah. Another thing that is a negative blight on the Soul Calibur community is specifically when it comes to past games. I can't reiterate this point enough, guys. I know that some of you like Soul Calibur 5, and I'm not going to fault you for that. It is one of the... It's probably universally known as the worst in the entire series, and that's for a multitude of reasons that really, a lot of them aren't even outside of the developers' like fault. Like, I mean, the game direction and the art style and stuff like that is all directly corresponding to like their direct product of line of work, but the story being like 75% shorter and the focus on like Patroclus and his sister Pyrrha as opposed to like the overarching story that was supposed to be accompanied with it, the focus on esports, like a lot of this stuff like people don't understand is out of their control most of the time. I get it, guys. I know you like Soul Calibur 5, some of you. And I'll constantly see in the comment section, though, like, when's Pyrrha coming back? When's Patroclus coming back? Or I really liked those characters. Or give me Dampierre. Or even the guests, like, oh, are we going to have, like Necrid back or something like that? You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of those things are really frustrating to talk about because it's like, guys, like we know that like Soul Calibur 5 contributed heavily to like the death of Project Soul. Like, and Soul Calibur 6 was lucky enough to have it as a rebirth thanks to Motohiro Okubo. But that timeline has to be kept in the past. Like they're literally hinting at it with the way the story is. They're going back to the beginning and saying like Soul Edge, our first game, Soul Blade, happened. Everything after that is going to change drastically from what we've shown in the past. People say, oh, it takes place during the same timeline as like Soul Calibur 3, so therefore Zasalamel is going to transform and be the bad guy the next game. That's not going to happen. This was roughly based around the same time as the old timeline Soul Calibur 1 and parts of 2, and the story is 1000% different. There are similar beats. Some of the little storylines and tidbits were retread upon, I guess I want to say, but the way they ended up was 1,000 times different than like anything you could expect before in the past. And we have gotten some hints that the timelines at least exist in like together. Like I think the last timeline actually ended. I don't think it's even there anymore because of what happened at the end. But we do see signs of like Soul Chronicles where like, you know, Cassandra comes back and meets like Cassandra in this timeline and Zasalamel's knowledge and things of that nature. But outside of that, don't expect any of the same story beats to repeat themselves. I have to constantly tell this to people every single time I make a video. Whether it be about Season 3, whether it be about Soul Calibur 7, people just keep on going back to that. And that goes for the replacement characters too. Like, you think we're going to see Natsu, you think we're going to see Shiba, do you think, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't think most people generally don't want to see that game repeated. And though you may like some aspects, which I do too, I always harp on and say that it has the best character creation engine of the entire series, that including 6. There's aspects of the game I like the endless card battle mode. You know what I mean? That's all there is. Another negative thing is something that I actually have to criticize myself for, because I'm part of the problem when it comes to this, and that's past modes. So it seems like Soul Calibur likes to try and reinvent themselves with every game and try to give us some new stuff to do, kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And a lot of us have our favorite modes, right? Like me in particular, my favorite mode is Chronicles of the Sword from Soul Calibur 3. A lot of people agree with that, some people don't. But I really want it back, and I think Libra of Souls disappointed me a little bit at first because it wasn't what I expected. But that's my expectations versus reality thing. That's a me problem, not a them problem. And other people will say the same thing. I've heard constantly about towers or about Weapon Master mode. You know, a lot of those older modes that haven't returned, people wanting to return. I want them to return too, guys. Whether they do it or not is not really up to us. It's fun to talk about, but I'm not exactly sure if any of that's going to come to fruition. We just have to wait and see. But constantly getting mad that it's not in this game is kind of a moot point, because it's not going to come with an update. We're not going to get new modes in an update this late in the game. Again, going back to my second point, don't compare it to other games. It just is what it is, and we'll see if they change this or do more in 7 than they did in 6, but for now, that's really all we can do is, wait, right? So let's just try to, remember this stuff when we're talking to each other, guys. We're all individualistic people that have our own wants and desires, especially when it comes to this series, and there's a lot of good about this community, which I went over in yesterday's video. So just keep this in mind, and when we're talking to each other, just remember we're all part of the same fighting game community, and we're all part of the same lore community, specifically when it comes to Soul Calibur. So just try and treat each other how you want to be treated. Now we're gonna go against that grain and go into a super cringy section that I have been starting to do, which I like. So in the comment section down below, let me know what you thought about this video and give me any comments that you have about it. Check out the Discord. Again, I would appreciate a subscription or a thumbs up on the video, because that really helps me get into YouTube's algorithm to get this video out to more people. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to a close after the next segment as well. And as always, I love it. Thank you, and thank you.
Midnight Snack says, for me, they took way too long to release my favorite characters like Sensuke and Huang. By the time they've gotten to them, I'm already focused on other fighters. Seems like he has little patience.
I'm inclined to agree. Now, let's read the next comment. Caliber75 says, as much as I enjoyed the visual novel style, it'd be cool to see more cinematics. I imagine that there'd be more single-player modes, so that would be great. I'd like them to expand on their online options. Keep everything they have in Soul Calibur 6, just add to it. I'm interested to see what they'll do gameplay-wise, but I'm very satisfied so far.
Our last comment comes courtesy of Drink Nuka-Cola. I came here because being an Xbox owner, I don't have access to this game, which is bullshit.
Screw you, Sony. But whenever I watch videos of other people playing the game, it's always the same god-awful plain boring background with lines. Like WTF. Why don't people play on these much better and more beautiful stages instead of the training room looking one? Laugh out loud. I legit came here just to see if Street Fighter V had more stages besides the same one. I've seen everyone use.
Well, that sucks. But other channels are out of my control, and I just do my own thing. People want to see what they want to see, but what will be, will always be. We can't get what we want, we probably never will, and that's why we are poggers.